I know personally, speaking with my father and the clinical team at our clinic, that a number of patients are coming in with fear and confusion. And how do you go about that? And are you seeing the same? Because yes, the last 3 years were quite unique. And yes, a little bit fear inducing and a lot of different information or misinformation, you could say, out there. So are you seeing that as well? And what are you doing to try and get patients out of that? Because then you have sympathetic nervous system overactivation. You have, again, vicious disease cycle that comes through the PNEI system into a biochemical cascade that is never going to help with treatment as long as they're stuck in those places.
I think that what you are seeing and your father's seeing at your office is the same thing that we're seeing at ours. And our approach is, number one, at least acknowledge it so that a patient can start beginning to unravel this web of uncertainty. We want to establish some facts around optimal health and goal setting. Not just goal setting for the person's health, but also what a person needs to be shooting for their own personal goals. Like now, oh yeah, I realize that in order for me to be well, I need to acknowledge and work on some of the post-traumatic stresses that have built up because of the massive fear that has been instilled in people over the last 3 years. And I think it's really, certainly not in our generation have we ever seen anything like this. Maybe there were times like this in the past before our generations, but there's always, in the American way has always been about freedom and hope and equality. And there's so much confusion about what that means now. Yeah. So I try to at least get people back to their foundations. If a person has some foundation in their religious institution or a spiritual following, I strongly recommend get back to those basics, because the teachings from those great people have established some simple truths that we should be good to each other, that we should not that we should not steal, we shouldn't want, it's basically basics. I say 10 commandments. I hate to get to that level, but just start with basics. And then there are real post-traumatic stresses where now people get triggered by hearing things or seeing things into a fight or flight response. When fight or flight is so dangerous for detoxification, because the body can only detoxify in a rest and relaxed state. So we're talking about sympathetic nervous system versus parasympathetic. And is it any wonder when everybody's been in fight or flight for the last 3 years, our nervous systems have been ignoring our normal detoxification pathways because we've been in fight or flight. And so if we can get the nervous system calmed down with any technique, whether it's breathing or meditation or Wim Hof or New Calm or working with a Reiki practitioner or emotional freedom technique, there's so many great techniques, but a person needs to find what's right for them. We try to help them to identify it and then work through that process of unraveling it. It can be quite insidious and quite illness producing if it's not addressed.
Yeah, this is why I really appreciate your book, because cleanse your body, but clear your mind. You have to do both. And too many people, I believe, focus on the body, which we know this for certain, almost in a sense of everything is very visual. We want to look great. We want to get in shape. We want to do all these things, but we don't really focus on that mental aspect, the emotional aspect of everything. We overlook that. And when you're talking about detoxification, you can't have one without the other, precisely for what you just said. Sympathetic nervous system overactivation will not allow it. Yes. So you have to work on that. And that I really did appreciate your book and how you go into all those pieces you just mentioned with clear your mind.